As we get closer to the end of the dry, we move the RH up to 58%. We try to be very specific on the RH at the last few days. We run a really tight deadband so the RH doesn't swing very far. It's important that you run a tight deadband in the last stage because you want to make sure, or we want to make sure, that we hit that 58%. Now, the flour will still have moisture in it when we take it down, but that moisture is inside the flour. So if you were to actually measure the water activity of that flour at that time, it will be around 0.62 to 0.63 water activity. The moisture content will be around 13%. So from there, we take the plants out of the dry room. We ensure that the dry room environment, that the temperature in RH, is the same or in the trim room. Even the hallways are the same because as you move flour between zones, any change in moisture or temperature will affect the flour. The flour is very hygroscopic, so it's going to give off or take moisture really easily. We move into the trim room. We trim all of our tops by hand. All of our mids and smalls will go through machines. To do that, we ensure that the flour, the leaves are crispy on the outside and the stems almost snap. That's how we know our flour, even in the dry room, we know our flour is close. To make sure that we know our flour is in the right water activity, we'll often turn the dry room off for the last day. We'll leave the dry room off for one whole day. We'll measure the water activity in that dry room. It's important that the dry room is quite full of flour. If the dry room doesn't have at least 50% flour in there, this doesn't work. But if the dry room is full of flour, then we can measure the humidity in that room because the flour is giving off moisture into that air and equalizing the air in the room. That moisture or that relative humidity number, let's call it 63%, we know that the water activity of that flour is around 0.63. And so if we were to do this and the room came back at 0.65 or 65%, we know it's still a little bit too wet, so we'll pull some more moisture. This doesn't have to happen every time, but in the early days, trying to make sure that you're timing the dry perfectly, it works really well. It can take extra time on the dry because you may have to turn the dry room back on and pull some more moisture, but at least you'll move the flour into the next stage in a good condition.